Hello and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show on Facebook, where we show you one cool thing, which we are testing out here in the PC Mag Labs. If you are watching us on Facebook, then please participate in the discussion, ask questions, make comments. Social P here will take your questions and comments. If you are watching us later in recap mode on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. We have a new One Cool Thing every day at 10 a.m. Eastern, posted maybe 2 hours later on YouTube. Something like that, whenever YouTube decides to process it. Today, of course, we have our reenactment of the hit film Ready Player One. No, we have the HTC Vive Pro being worn by Will Greenwald. Will, would you like to take... Oh God, it's creepy when you look at me like that. It's like spider eyes. He's got like 8,000 spider eyes. And like arms coming off of his ears. The HTC Vive Pro, creepy but powerful. What is going on here, Will?
Well, this is a more powerful version of the Vive Pro. It is $800. It has higher resolution. It has high quality built-in headphones. It has a stereoscopic 2 cameras instead of 1 on the front, and that's kind of it.
Okay,
Just an upgrade to the Vive.
So it's an upgrade to the Vive. Now, one thing I do not see it having is it does not yet have a wireless connection, right?
Nope. It will probably work with the Vive wireless adapter, but that isn't out yet. But yeah, no, it needs to be wired pretty much.
Okay, so the Vive, of course, is the Vive. We judged the Vive to be basically the most advanced, the most immersive PC-based VR system before, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty good deal because they recently dropped the price to $500 from $600.
So what does this Vive Pro get you in terms of better quality VR experience?
Basically higher resolution, some more advanced features like the stereoscopic cameras, which aren't used a whole lot yet in software, but it does sort of put it on the same footing as the Windows mixed reality headsets, which only use the cameras. They don't have these sort of external sensors, which is what these weird little dots are for. Higher resolution, looks really crisp. It looks nicer than the Vive or the Oculus Rift because of the better screens. The audio is good because these built-in headphones are very nice. For on-ear headphones, they're actually surprisingly noise isolating. So like I actually need to lift them up to be able to hear what you say. And it's just sort of built, like not heavier, but thicker, like more structurally sound, more premium feeling.
Now, the Vive is generally generally conceived as a purely VR headset. Are you saying that with the dual cameras it can now be AR as well?
The potential's there, but there isn't any for like software yet. I mean, this is not Windows mixed reality. This is Steam VR, and the HTC Store. It's that platform for VR. Okay,
so speaking of software, of course, the VR experience is all about your software experiences. How does the availability of software for the Vive compare, especially to Oculus, which is its #1 competitor?
Oculus has their own store, and the problem is that is sort of locked out through hardware/firmware. Like you need to have an Oculus Rift connected to access the Oculus Store and actually get games on it, unless you do some weird Byzantine stuff to kind of spoof the headset and be able to access games on it. But Steam VR and the HTC Vive Store, which is connected to it, those platforms are still very, very strong for PC VR. And we have a question.
Do you have to get it in that navy blue?
Yes, this is the color of the Vive Pro. The regular Vive is black.
So now what kind of a PC do you need to run the software for the Vive Pro?
Well, you need a good one. You need a you need a VR-ready PC pretty much. I believe the specs for the original Vive were like you need a GTX 970, you need a pretty good processor. With this, it's a little bit step up, like higher because of the higher resolution. But basically, you want a PC that, if it isn't a technical gaming PC, you don't need like SLI dual 1080s, but you need something that can run like 3D pretty well.
Okay, let's take another question.
Is this just for gamers?
Kind of. I mean, VR is in a weird spot where there isn't necessarily a huge killer app, especially on the consumer side. There are probably some useful engineering and educational aspects to it that can apply, but as it is, as a product that is sold as a consumer device, it's pretty much for gaming.
Is it comfortable to wear with prescription glasses?
Fairly. I mean, putting it on and taking it off is a bit harder, but yeah, it's not terrible.
How long can you wear it before you get to, before basically you get too sweaty or your neck hurts?
Really, surprisingly, the sort of thicker, more stable design means sweatiness is less of a problem because you're sort of fighting it less to keep it aligned properly. My bigger problem is that playing it for longer periods of time, getting headaches. So,
Okay,
but that's
okay.
any VR system.
So that's over, what, half an hour or so?
Yeah, around that.
Okay. Let's take another question.
On the original Vive, you could attach Leap Motion to interact with your real hands in games. Does the front-facing camera on the Pro also support this natively, or do you have to attach something?
I believe you need to attach the motion to the front of it. We haven't actually tested that because that's a separate device. There is one sort of big glaring flaw for this. This is an $800 headset. The Vive is $500. The problem is this, what you see here and the link box that connects it to a PC are basically what you get. You don't get the base stations or the motion controllers, which the Vive Pro requires. Now, piecemeal, that did cost $530 individually, but they recently announced a bundle for $300 to get those parts. But if you don't already have a Vive, which includes those parts for a $500 package, you're spending $1,100 to get this to work before you're even looking at your PC hardware. That is just the hugest issue, because it's $300 more than the Vive, and it includes none of the accessories.
So are we recommending that people still buy the regular Vive because it's so much more affordable?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, VR is still like, if you're in early or I guess mid, but it hasn't caught on quite adopter, it's pretty impressive. Like if you don't mind burning money on stuff that isn't necessarily hugely established and you just want to sort of play with the newest tech, yeah, go for it. But if price is remotely a consideration, the Vive's $500, and honestly, it's still a pretty strong experience 2 years later. And the upgrades here are so incremental that the price of the full upgrade is not quite worth it.
Let's take another question.
Do you feel like it's lighter than the original Vive?
It doesn't necessarily feel lighter or heavier, but again, the better harness, like the better support on the back headrest and just the better padding means it is easier to wear.
What's the best game so far or experience so far that you've played in the Vive world?
Super Hot VR. It's the virtual reality version of Super Hot, this game where it's a first-person shooter. It's very simple, sort of like white and red graphics. Time only moves when you move. That's the entire caveat of the game. And when you do that in VR, and you're actually like holding the guns, it's like you're in the Matrix, and it's just a really cool experience.
That's really fun. Let's take another question.
Is Vive working on an untethered VR headset for gaming?
For gaming, I'm not sure. The Vive Focus has been confirmed that it will be launched worldwide and not just in China. Besides that, there will be wireless adapters for the Vive/Vive Pro, but yeah, pretty much, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the Vive Focus, that's actually something which we should explain. The Vive Focus is a separate, standalone VR headset based on the Qualcomm ARM platform and based on Android, basically.
Which raises a lot of questions for what games are going to be on that compared with the Steam VR store.
Exactly. Now, there is a supposedly a cross-platform API that has been developed to help port experiences from Steam VR to this Android headset. But as a self-contained Android headset, it's obviously going to have a lot less in terms of processing power than your desktop PC. So what will these Vive Focus experiences be like? We are not entirely sure. I think for real gamers, what they're really going to be wanting to look for is a standard Vive on their PC with a wireless adapter, one of the 60 gigahertz wireless adapters.
Yeah, pretty much. Really kind of the issue for gaming in VR is there are cool experiences, but to date, the closest things I've gotten is like Super Hot VR. A lot of people like Doom or Skyrim VR. I kind of hated the VR implementation of Fallout 4 because of the teleporting thing. But there hasn't really been yet a killer app for VR, something that makes everyone need it. Like the closest thing kind of just due to popularity is VR chat, but the reason that's popular is because it's free and you don't need VR for it. So this is still tech that doesn't really have a place for it. It's a cool thing to play with, but it's expensive, you need a lot of processing power, and there isn't really a thing you need this for.
Now, one of the criticisms I saw, Ready Player One did come out this weekend, and it's a hot movie right now. One of the criticisms I saw of it actually was that it wasn't ambitious enough in its envisioning of future technology, that basically dude's wearing a Vive, right?
I mean, kind of. I mean, there's clearly a little necklace thing that also does facial mapping, which is actually a really cool idea. Like it's like imagine taking the camera on the the iPhone X and have like just strapping it in front of your face so it tracks your facial movements and then maps it to your avatar. That's a cool concept. Like that's something that we don't have with VR right now. But like the headsets the VR headset looked the same as if you looked at VR in '95. It is a thing you strap to your face that makes you look stupid. There's nothing really that's going to get past that until we have like cool little like glasses or contact lenses that just
like radically, and that's just radically new display technology. That's limited by what our display technology is right now.
Pretty much. Did you see Ready Player One?
No, I haven't seen the movie yet. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go either tomorrow or Thursday. So
I saw it. It was fine.
Okay. Let's take another question.
Did you have any problems reading text with the Vive Pro?
No, not really. It's the high resolution is
text
pretty
must be
good for reading.
better than with the standard Vive, because I've noticed that. Well, I mean, my VR experience is mostly with Gear VR.
Yeah.
And of course, with Gear VR, text can get pretty fuzzy.
Yeah.
Just because of the limited resolution.
Yeah. Vive, it isn't terrible. Vive Pro, pretty decent reading. I mean, a weird thing about reading text in VR is like you can literally move your head closer to it. So if you have problems reading it, you can do that, which I do when I'm doing VR. But it's I didn't have a problem with it. It didn't seem too fuzzy or like difficult to read.
So, do we have an editor's choice in terms of VR right now?
I think that might be actually the PlayStation VR, just because in terms of tethered VR, it's accessible, it's easy to set up, and there are some really cool experiences like Until Dawn Rush of Blood and Res Infinite. And it's also like you're spending a total, including the system, $700, $800, whereas this, $1,100 before you even factor in the computer.
But I'm sorry, you're speaking in a strange console language which I do not understand, as I am a fully evolved PC person. What VR solution is for me?
Yeah, I get this, whatever.
Okay, let's take another question.
What did you think of the Lenovo Mirage Solo?
Okay, I tried the Lenovo Mirage Solo at CES, and it was at CES, not MWC, right? Yeah, it's CES, I'm pretty sure. And yes, it's based on it's actually more advanced hardware than the Vive Focus, because I believe the Vive Focus is a Snapdragon 821, and the Mirage Solo is an 835, and it was relatively comfortable. The issue I was having with the Mirage Solo was that the software experiences we were going through on it were very, very limited.
Yeah.
It does have the 6DoF, so you can walk around freely, but the software which I was using was not properly implementing the 6DoF. So the best you could do actually was duck and jump.
Pretty much in theory.
It was a couple of DoF, and that really shows the limits of all of these experiences, how VR is very, very fragmented right now. And so as a result, nobody has the overwhelming momentum behind their software ecosystem.
I also tried the Oculus Go at GDC, and that's a similar thing. It's only 3 DoF too. But it's like, works well, kind of like a really well implemented Gear VR or Google Daydream, but
where's
sort of
the software is the problem. Where's the software?
I played Catan in it, but...
Let's take another question.
How does the Vive Pro get online? Is there Wi-Fi built into it?
It needs to be connected to a PC.
Yeah, this is cabled. The way HTC has explained it is that there is just so much darn data being transferred at once that it is more than a standard Wi-Fi link can handle. When you look at the Vive wireless adapter, I believe uses 802.11ad, right?
I think so.
It's that 60 gigahertz, extremely high speed short distance transfer. WiGig is another name for it.
And speaking of high bandwidth, the Vive Pro, unlike the Vive, the link box does not have HDMI. You need to use DisplayPort, which is kind of weird, but that's the proprietary connector. But the link box it plugs into, that's DisplayPort only. And I tried using a DisplayPort to HDMI adapter. Now I need to just use DisplayPort.
Okay. So any more questions out there about the, great. So this is the HTC Vive Pro. If you are looking for the most technologically advanced PC-based virtual reality experience available today in 2018, where price is no object, then this is the headset you are getting. If you just want to dip your toes into VR and you have a PlayStation VR is a good idea.
And we still like the regular Vive and the Oculus Rift. They're both solid.
Yeah. VR is still a weird world. It's still very early days with VR. It's still very experimental, and nobody's found the killer app. But hey, we're technologists. You are technologists. It's a fun thing to experiment with. Thank you all for watching. This has been One Cool Thing with PCMag.com. If you are on Facebook, please come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. We will have another cool thing. If you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Check our channel daily. Every weekday, we will bring another cool thing to you.